Hi, I see there are a few people already there. I'm waiting for 7 more minutes to start. Please let me know if you hear me right and things like that. Can you hear me properly? Oh, cool. Thank you. Is anybody planning to paint? Who will paint with me? I just would like to know, because then I will ask if I can go forward or I have to wait a little bit longer or things like that. If somebody painting along with me. Thank you. I hope it will go well. Last week went really well. This is a little bit probably harder painting. We will see. The description has the reference photo link if anybody wanna try to paint. So you can ask question or comment on the chat. I will have a lot of free time when I have to wait for drying of the masking fluid or drying stuff. So if I don't answer earlier, I will answer when I'm waiting. But I try to keep eye on it so I can answer right away. So if you're interested, I'm using Arch or Archie's cold press, 18 by 24 inches block. On the I'm just reading the comments. I see, I'm not sure, I don't know how to pronounce Heian woman moving. I will spend July and August in Europe too because my family is there and my parents' health is really bad. And since the pandemic, I can have few weeks home office from there. So I don't know how I will keep up with the time difference. So I will try to figure out something. Maybe it will be better for people in Europe, but I try to make sure the US is also properly daytime. Although I don't know the internet will be enough good or anything, so it will be tricky, I guess. So I will only know when I'm there how it is working. So still, if somebody wanna paint, let me know. It's only 1 minute left. So anybody who paint along, let me know. Just I wanna help or give time for preparing or anything. So question regarding the paper size. You can go a little bit smaller, but I don't suggest to go small at all because it's a wet on wet technique and you allow the paint to fur out and flow. You can't do that in small. So I made a YouTube video on this, how to use large paper, and I explained there why. So you can go probably half of the size what I'm using right now, but not smaller. Probably something like this. So this is 18 by 24. So something like this probably would work, but of course oriented this way if you paint this cat. I really like the real size. I usually paint my cats in real cat size. It's exactly because how the watercolor fur out is really in size. It's really like a real cat fur size. So if you paint tiny, that furring out of the wet paint would be huge. And also you cannot control that. So it will flow half an inch to an inch. And imagine if it's a real size cat, your line is half an inch or an inch difference in place, it's fine. But for a cat, you painted this, let's say this tiny, if your line is moving half an inch to an inch, you can't work. So with this wet on wet technique, I think small is really hard, and after a given size, it's impossible. So I'm not suggesting at all. So I like to paint large, it's much easier. I know people usually have the weird idea that painting large is harder. It's absolutely not true. It's much more easy with watercolor because it's use wet and wet, it's flowing. So I start, then I will use a watercolor pencil to sketch. So still nobody doing it with me, the painting. Okay, then anyway, let me know if you paint, because I would like to adjust to you if I need to. But I need to know then if somebody is working along. So when you draw something, there are two keywords, the ratios and the directions. So what I always look is I try to think about as like a little bit like geometric forms, and I always look, okay, what is the direction of this line and how long is compared to, let's say, this line or this line, and that's what I'm trying to look. So the directions of the line and the ratio, the size ratio or the length ratio compared to each other. So these lines, because it's watercolor pencil, will mainly disappear when I wet the paper. So you don't need to worry if you need to correct. Just make sure you kind of remember which one is your final one. I will use masking fluid on the face mostly. So that area, you need to draw it kind of precise, because whatever you draw with the masking fluid, it's harder to change afterwards. Also, you can try, like, if I elongate this line where it's cut the back and things like that. So this helps you to get the drawing right. Or how many times you can put this length to here, for example, and things like that. So I ask these questions, and this is how I draw, just based on the photo. I like to paint always from life, but of course it's a cat, so it won't sit like this. So I have to use photos, but anything else I usually try to go with life, unless it's a tutorial, of course, because then I don't know how to do it, how to show it. So the tail I will curl like here in this corner somehow. So question regarding the colors. It's not the colors only. So if you're asking the technique as wet on wet and furring out, it's depend on a pigment, and the pigment also put it in a vehicle. I don't know how to call it, like a things which keep the pigment together. And each brand has their own vehicle for the pigment. So it's not only the pigment, but also the brand and a vehicle. So I can tell you from the paints which I am using, but I don't know other brands. So you always have to test it on your watercolor paper, if it's furring out and work well with the technique. Honestly, with Daniel Smith or good quality watercolor, most color work very well. But there are some pigment which are not furring out. It's not the, it's when it's Daniel Smith, it's not the vehicle, obviously. It's the properties of the pigment. It's nothing bad with it or anything. It's just the pigment behave differently. So even from good watercolor paint, you need to know your own paint or your own colors. And since Daniel Smith has like 260 some colors, I cannot talk about all, but I will use transparent orange from Horadam, actually. Sorry. Of course, Daniel Smith has something similar color, but I like this and I have a lot of this, so I will use this one from Horadam. Horadam is really good too. If you want to buy paint and you want to figure out, you can buy the Daniel Smith dot card. This is, okay, like this, sorry. It's amazing. So it's like 20 bucks or 25 or so, Amazon. You will get 4-page like this. It's 238 colors, sorry, not 68, 38. And you can test every single color. And below the color, you can have the description, all about transparency or how much it's fading by light or how transparent the color, or staining, how much it's staining your paper, can it be removed or not, and you can test the color itself, and it's just an amazing thing. I don't know, I buy this all the time. I don't know why, I just love it. I can always check the colors. So for example, if you want something good transparent orange for Daniel Smith, not the Horadam, transparent Tyrol orange is beautiful. So you can really use this very well, and one color is about $10-20, one tube like this. So it's really good to test out first with this, and then you decide what color you like or you need. I like all of them, so for me it's really hard because there are only very few color I don't like, and I really don't like the shiny and the glitter. There are several shiny glittery color, but it's also really good because I'm not buying accidentally those, because sometimes it's here between the greens, for example, called, okay, I don't know how to pronounce. So this color is Fuchside Genuine or something like that. This is shiny and glittery, and you don't know that from the description. So if you have this, you're not buying colors accidentally. So it's a really good thing. So I hope it, and also, of course, Horadam and Winsor & Newton also have this dot card now. So I think Daniel Smith was the first who introduced this to the market, but now every brand have it. So if you like another brand, try to look if they have it. I know Winsor & Newton and Horadam have it. So just buy that first and then choose your colors. This is my suggestion. It's amazing that you can test everything for $20 or $25. And also it's a lot of paint. You believe or not, you can paint probably 5 full-size landscape with it. It's a lot of paint. Of course, one color won't be enough for painting a large area, but there are many similar colors, so you just need to use all of them. So it's really worth it. So this is my masking fluid, and if you're interested about this, many people ask about this tool. This is a reed stick, and I have the link under many of my tutorial, because many of my live tutorial, because people ask that Blick art material have it now, so you can buy 3 of these stick for, I don't know, not too expensive, don't worry. So for me, this is work really well, and I know there are many ways to use masking fluid. I tried many. I still prefer this one. So I really love it. If you knew and you never see me to paint, I always try on the paper next to me to make sure the first big drip going on a paper and not on my painting. And yeah, and if you draw fast, then you get really nice thin lines. And don't forget to, when it's dry on your reed stick, clean it off. So, and then use it clean, because after it starts to have a very thick tip. So it's mainly, I need around the eye and stuff. That I want to prevent the black paint flowing into the eye, for example, because of course I want that yellow. And it's possible without masking fluid, of course, but it's just harder. So it just make your work easier to. And my suggestion, if it's good if the shape is perfect and exact, but if not, just make a tiny bit larger than what you need, and on the end you can correct that with the black on the edges. So just theoretically, I just want to leave this white. I don't want the paint go there. That's it. This is why I'm doing it. And later I can change the size and the shape if I need to. And sometimes it has a highlight in the eye, and sometimes I put that too, but sometimes I forget and I remove it. So if it happens, it's fine too. It just also have that little dot leave white, the highlight in the eye. So now I have to wait until the masking fluid dry, because of course you can't overpaint, because if this thing goes into your brush, your fancy pricey watercolor brush can go to garbage easily. So I suggest to make sure to wait until it's dry. I want to put a little light color here also around the eye. It has this skin color. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I mask the edge, and it's not for the backlight effect. I mask the edge only because you don't want the ear fur out. So you don't want the ear spread out and furry, because it's very sharp. It's a very sharp part of the cat. It's not furry like here or the tail or whatever. So it just help you. It's also not necessary. You can wait until this area is dry, or you can dry it with a paper towel and then paint the ear. But it's just easier this way, that you don't need to worry about that it will fur out. So it's just my way of doing. But it's mostly because I started to do the tutorials, and I just know it's easier. So if I do it for myself, I'm not sure I would mask the ear, but it's just easier. Sometimes if the light goes that way, it has a really white highlight on the edge of the ear, but this cat don't have that, so it's not for that. It has actually a really black edge on the ear. So, and of course, if on the end you figure out it's on a wrong position, you can modify it a little bit too. But with masking fluid, it's just better to be careful and put it right if it's possible. It's not always working like that. So of course, sometimes I need to change my original line too. So I usually touch, and when it's not sticking, but I can see clearly it's not dry yet. It's dry on the ear and on the edge of the eye, but this area is not dry, and this is also not yet. So I have to wait a little bit longer. So it's a good time to ask questions because it will take a few more minutes. So I have several bowl water next to me. It's important to use large water bowls and clean, always clean water. I have 4 next to me, so I can switch it easily. And while I'm waiting for drying, I like to prepare a little bit the paint. So this is my black. It's old painting, but I will put out a little fresh one. So I just wet it. And I add a fresh one. It's a lamb black from Daniel Smith. And I will use probably a quite big round brush. Let's say these are the brushes I will use, kind of. I don't know, maybe even I'm looking for a bigger one. I just don't see where is it. So this kind of brushes. And I will use the one I will use with the black to make the paint heavy cream consistency. So that's quite dense paint, a heavy cream consistency, but it will get diluted when you use it on your wet watercolor paper. So it's a wet on wet technique. I will pre-wet the paper before I start to paint. So I just want to make sure I don't have clumps, like black clumps in it. I'm sure there will be few because the old paint, it's harder to reactivate. And I never throw away, usually. So I think this is kind of good. So I put it aside. Oh, come on. And I have another ceramic dish and the plastic one. So these are brownish darker colors and these are the orangey red colors. So these are like, I don't know exactly, but Venetian red and I don't know, so some kind of darker brownish reddish colors. And this has transparent orange and kind of brick colors and stuff like that. So I will add a little bit more fresh here. Just, this is the transparent Pyrrole Orange of Daniel Smith. I have a brand new color just arrived, permanent brown, so I will try that. I'm reading the comment about the dried reactivated paint. Yes, I agree. Some color get less bright after it's out from the tube and dried and reactivated. Not every color, but some color has light, like not as bright after. But I found the effect very like little. But I agree, it can change a little bit. But I'm not throwing away. It would be nice if I can afford it, just always use fresh from the tube, but I always have a little leftover and I'm usually using them no matter what. So yeah, I agree. It's always the most beautiful and the most easy to use when it's fresh out from the tube. So that was the transparent orange from Horadam. I really like the tube. I don't like the half pens or pens, and it's not because the reactivation, although of course that's also a factor, but why I like the tube is because a half pen is so tiny, I just can't work from it. So my brush is bigger than a half pen. So it's really hard to pick up the right amount of paint from a half pen or a pen even. So I'm not using those. It's good if you make small landscapes with small brushes and a sketchbook or something. Yes, then the half pen is good. But for this kind of painting, I don't think so. I think you need big space to pick up the colors properly. So let's see. Okay, I think it's good. I can see my hand is dirty. It's kind of important not to have paint on a hand. So there is a blue I really love, and I can't pronounce it. I show it. Sorry. So I hope you are better to know what is it. I really like this from Daniel Smith. I try Indatron blue. I don't know how to pronounce it. And the ultramarine blue is also good. So I'm putting out just a very little bit of this too also. Just for this cat painting. I really don't want to have leftover from this. So I hope it will work out. And there are a lot of purple on this cat too. So I might use purple too. Also, I really love this color, Carbazole Violet. So just a tiny bit. I have a spot for this in my palette, so I put it right away there. Okay, so next thing. I'm reading the comments. Oh yeah, about the yes, I like combining colors to not just using very bright base color to get combining them to get faded colors. So But lamp black is a lamp. It's a black pigment, so it's not combined. It's the pigment is really dark, and for black cat, it's really good. So I make the paper wet everywhere, and then I use my big cheap brush to equalize the wetness, and so make sure you don't have puddles and everything is pretty wet, but not puddly. So you don't want water puddles sitting here and there because it will affect the painting, but you want the whole paper really wet. So you can see immediately my drawing is almost disappeared. I'm pushing off the little hairs and stuff also while I'm doing this. I never had Graham paint, so I don't know that brand too much. But I heard about it, and just there are so many good paint on the market. I always half of my salary goes to those, so I don't want to even know it because then I buy it. It's really annoying too. And there are completely new type of watercolor paints coming out too, and I'm trying those too, and just so many things. So I'm picking up my I don't even know. Usually I like to put the lighter colors first. If I'm so sometimes I paint the black cat just with black, and that's a really good method. But today I want to add colors into the black, so probably start with the lighter colors. I don't know. So not lighter color, I mean not the black. So I just add like nice base colors here and there. You see, it's also, I won't use this furring out, but this blue, the whatever blue, I cannot, the Indatron blue, it's furring out really beautifully. So I think this is a very good color for wet on wet technique. So I'm going for the orange now. Start with the Pirol. The Pirol orange, I think, is a little bit brighter than the transparent orange. Yeah, the lunar black, I think, if I remember correctly, the lunar black is really granulating. And when something is really granulating, it's hard. It's usually not for, I mean, you can use it totally with wet on wet. Just I don't think it will fur out very nicely, but I cannot say that for sure because I just don't know. But I recognized on uh, for this kind of furring out effect. So they not, but it's not means it's still really good for wet on wet technique. It just don't doing the furring out. But So with wet on wet, it's good to work kind of fast because you have a window when the paper is, the wetness of your paper is just perfect for what you want to do. So it's a little bit like a speed run also. So it's good to work kind of putting down the large amount of paint in the beginning and let them work with each other. So yes, so when you look at black cat, you usually can really see that it turned into many times blue or brownish orange. It depends on the light. So the darker shadowy area, almost bluish purplish, usually, and where the light hit, it's usually reddish, orangey, brownish. And sometimes I like to play with those tones. Yeah, it won't be like, you won't see on the end the orange directly, but you have the color tone on in the black. So that, yeah, that's the idea exactly. Just shine through. So I'm using the forceps. There is a big hair from my brush and I removed that. So the face, with the wet on wet technique and the paws and things like that, it's better to touch when it's a little bit drier so it's not flowing away. Because with the wet on wet, of course, that is the danger. So I'm using wipe if I have to, if something go too far or not in the right direction. It's easier to change things in the beginning before it's dry into the paper after it's really hard. So after a given point, I start to introduce smaller brushes for details. Or another thing you can do, just use clean paper towel. This is not exactly clean, but I try to find a good, and dry up the paper where you have those area which cannot flow too far, and then paint there. So then you can avoid that it's flowing too far. Hopefully. If it's still very wet, it still will flow. So maybe it was a little bit too early. I can see it's furring out pretty much. So I dry for now a little bit more to prevent furring, and then I will go again there. And sometimes I am bothered by if there is no any background, because sometimes it gives the impression the cat is flowing into the space, something. And I just like to put just a little grayness under the cat. It's nice if the reference photo has explicit shadow, but this one don't really. So you just fake it a little bit. There are more like, I think it's more like a reflection, but I can see on that photo, not a shadow. So I'm trying the transparent or whatever brown I said. I'm permanent brown. I don't have too much experience with this color, so it will be just interesting what it's doing. Unfortunately, I went to the orange, so I'm changing this brush. Let's try this one. I like this color, it's beautiful. It's more red than brown, I think, but it's really nice. I love it. So you can see how the lamb black furring out. It's incredible. Even too much sometimes. So this paint is really doing this very beautifully. So where I don't want, I a little bit removing just a little bit here and there. So I'm reading the comments again. Yes, the cascade grid is amazing. I love it. Yes, it's a very beautiful color, and it goes to blue and green a little bit on the end. It's okay to be late. It's not a school. I feel like it's a little bit too far up there. So now I will paint a little bit more, but mostly I have to wait to remove the masking fluid so I can work out the face. So I just add a few more lines there, and I try to not touch it so it can dry a little bit. So I'm trying to just here the legs. It's pretty dark, so it's not really visible on the photo, but let's just try a little bit. I probably do a brave move now. I try to a little bit wash here. It can go wrong also. Let's hope it won't. So there is a chance I need to use hair dryer, but let's just give a little time to it, what it's doing. So I tried now several times to using hair dryer on this masking fluid I'm using, and I never had problem. I know people not suggest to do that, and I can imagine with other masking fluid it's a problem. Also, I'm never drying with a hair dryer to like very boiling hot dry. So it's maybe the other trick. I just make it dry enough that I can remove the masking fluid, but it's pretty wet, so it will be a little waiting. And I will bring the hair dryer. So that's the second way to generate fur effect. So there is the primary fur effect when you put the paint on the wet paper, but when the paint is settled and you add water, the water front, as it flowing this way, it also can generate the fur effect. And also, if you want to know more about, I have videos on this. So you can see these effects, like how to do them. It's not hard. It's the properties of the paint. It's more like timing. So you need to do it on the right dryness or wetness. If it's too wet, it won't work. And if it's too dry, it also won't work. So it's something between. So regarding the limiting the furring, yes. So if the paper is very wet, it will fur out a lot, but then that fur will melt up. So it will disappear usually eventually if it's too wet, because it can't stay like that because the paint molecules will move in the water. If it's too dry, it won't fur out. So it's experience. It's depend on a paper also. You need to like just do this a lot, and then you will know what the paper will do, or you will have better expectation what happening when you touch it with your brush, how much it will run or not run. It's really hard to teach unless you like trying it. So it's the best way. So it fur out here, the tail fur out beautifully first, but it's disappeared here just because it was too wet. So now now it is half dry. It's not dry, but half dry. So I'm adding just water here, and I'm hoping that this will push and generate similarly to this some fur effect, but maybe not so. It's hard to know for sure, but you do this more and more, you will just understand what the paint will do, because you just get used to it and you learn it. like it's almost, it will be like a feeling, so you won't know it, but you feel it. So, and if it's too dry like here and no furring and you want furring, what you can do, it will be a risky move, but I show. So you can just take a clean brush with and just let's go down from here closer and closer, and then it will probably, if it's enough wet, the paint, but mine is not, but it would fur out if the paint is enough wet. But what you can do at this point, you just take a little paint with a small brush, just add it on the edge, and that's probably will fur out a little bit eventually if the wetness is enough. So you see, so you can generate, but it's now, it's of course too wet again, so it won't stay like that, but it won't be as sharp as it was. So you can play with these things. And the next thing I can try, I just make it a little bit wet because I dried it up, but it's still wet, and try again. And we will see. So it's really a lot of experience. And this one worked a little bit here. So you can see the furry structure happening. Although I'm not sure it's visible on the camera. Maybe on the end, I can go closer. So let's touch. Okay, so I bring hair dryer because otherwise it will take too long. And I also take out this very dirty water from here. This will be probably the longest live tutorial I ever made so far. So I'm back with the hair dryer. So if you're bothered by the noise, just be careful, it's coming. Actually, I would be really curious if people who paint based on these tutorials would put the painting somewhere. I don't know what would be the best solution. I think Instagram, if you tag it with, I don't know, like Bodorwatercolor or something like that, that in this way we can see each other works or how it's going. I would be very curious. And I think last week people painted with me, but only that's very rare when somebody do this. So I was very happy, and they also asked if they can put somewhere the work. So if you have better idea, let me know. So the idea is to remove the masking fluid. You don't want paint on your finger. And there is only one spot where I still have, otherwise not. So I try to remove on the eye area at least. So make sure when you do this, your finger is clean and try carefully. So if it's making mess, stop immediately. It means it's not enough dry. But looks like it's good so far, at least. I'm taking care of a kitty for a few days because the owner is traveling. So the kitty just woke up and came here to see what's going on. So I try to leave that middle a little masking fluid for the highlight. If it's come off, it's fine. It's not a big deal, but if I can prevent that, that's better. So around the whisker, okay, it's working too. It's a little bit wet, but it's still coming off. Okay, so let me do this. Yeah. The rest I will remove on the end. It's just too wet. Yeah, this side I leave it as totally can be removed when it's completely dry. Okay, so make sure your hand is clean again. Can you hear the kitty? He wants some attention, I guess. Oh, it's coming to my lap. Oh, come on, kitty. Okay, for a minute you can come. You can show yourself. See? The kitty. Don't lick it. Can you hear purring? He's really happy. Okay, let's finish that painting, okay? Give me 5 more minutes or 10. Okay, so what I will do, I just use a thin brush and pretty dense black watercolor and try to make the line around the eye or the eye shape correct. Yeah, Kitty is not happy for sure. He tried to come back on my lap again. Oh, Kitty, please don't push my hand. Okay. Can you hear the cat? It's not happy. He really want to come back. So of course, nothing really white like this. So when I remove the masking fluid, I make sure that this very bright whiteness is usually disappearing. So I just leave the lighter color, but not white. So the nose will get a little orangey brown. Maybe the the permanent brown is perfect for that. And also around the eye, I think this color. And into the ear. So the edge will be black again. So since the painting is not dry and I'm putting down my hand, I need to be very careful to not make a mess. It's kind of hard. It's not the right shape. Okay. I hope I'm not destroying now. Didn't go exactly as I planned, but it's okay now. And when your eye look dry around the eye, that's the point when you can put maybe a bright yellow with a little green. So until it's need to dry a little bit to add the pupil and stuff. So I'm removing this skirt. And that's the point when I'm using my artist pit pen to draw some of the whisker on this side. So it's a Faber-Castell artist pit pen. It has the metal tips, so it makes very nice thin line. You can use this for pupil and stuff too. It's really good. It's easier than a paint, and it's not leaking as much. So you can use for very tiny details and signature. It's really good for signature too. So let's try. It's always very hard for me. It's not really working on wet surface and it's too wet, and my hand also very dirty. So I need to not forget that. So I need to wait. It's this pen is not working well on wet surface. It just stopped releasing paint. So I'm cleaning the edge of my hand. So this is too dry, I can't remove, but it's fine. I want to work a little bit here with the black until I'm waiting. I tried this just a tiny bit here because it's dry. So I'm very close to finish now. I cannot completely finish the eye because it's too wet, but I will remove eventually I will remove the masking fluid and just correct a little bit the drawing, and maybe I try to add a tiny bit of color. Just you can see the top of the eye, especially this eye, it's a little bit darker, so you can see the shadow coming from the I don't know, so the thing around the eye. And I can try that now. Let's see if it's working. But other than that, and the signature, I think I'm pretty close to finish. So here you can see some shadow. A little bit I add to the other eye too. And then lighten it up a little bit. So if you have question, ask it now, or you can do it in a comment later, but I will probably finish up in 2 minutes. So if you want something now, type it in the live. And I will post this when it's completely ready, probably in an hour or two, into my Instagram, which is bodorwatercolor. So when it's, it's not waving and stuff like that, and the eye is finished, I will post it so you can see it. And if you want to help me watch my video all the way on YouTube, because I need 4,000 hours to put advertisement on my YouTube channel. So I really would like to earn some money with this. So how you can help to watch all my videos all the way. So just collect hours, watch hours for me. You can buy originals on Etsy and Saatchi art. But I suggest Etsy, honestly, because it's just less extra money to pay to the company. And what else? Oh, I have Skillshare. So on Skillshare, first of all, you can use my referral link to sign up to Skillshare. It's usually free for the first week or two. You have to check it because it's changing depending on the promotion they're using. And I have probably, I don't know, 16 or so tutorial there too. So you can test it out without paying for a week or two. And then if you like Skillshare, you can stay there. I'm hoping to continue to put videos there, but in the last few weeks, I just didn't have the time. Simply, I have a real job, and the YouTube and everything, so it's just too busy to upload videos every week. I tried before, but it was just overwhelming. So, but I will continue. So I will add new videos there too. And I think that's it. So I think I told everything. Thank you, Susan. And thank you, everybody, for watching it. So if nothing else, I'm saying goodbye and have a nice weekend. And thank you for being here. Bye-bye. I try the tabby next week. I don't know. I don't want to promise, but yes, I will look. Thank you. Bye.